Today I'm going to give you an introduction to Revit and also a tutorial through our shed project. Now this tutorial that I'm going to be doing is just to show you some of the features of Revit. It's not meant to follow along with, you're not meant to keep up with me drawing. There'll be a bunch of really detailed tutorials that play into how to do this project. This is just, again, to kind of give you an overview of the program. You're not meant to follow along, just watch the video. So when you open Revit, it looks like this, and you have two different components that you can see on the screen. The top one is projects, the bottom one is families. The top one, projects, is where you create all of your drawings. So you work on a project and everything is in that project. So your floor plan, your 3D elements, everything is in that project. Families are all the things that go into it. So windows, doors, pieces of furniture, trees, anything that you're going to put onto the plan that's basically not a wall is going to be a family. I mean, even structural components like beams and columns, those are also going to be families that you then load into the project and use in there. So you have two separate components, projects and families. And I'm just going to go, like I said, walk through the shed project. Again, not meant to follow along because it's going to go very quick here, but just to kind of give you an idea of what the interface looks like and just to give you an introduction to what it looks like. So over on projects, I'm going to say new, and it's going to ask you for a template here, and we would usually use an architectural template. In this case, I've set up a template specifically for this project that already has my wall types loaded into it and my doors and windows and materials and things that I'm going to use. Now you'll notice that when I said browse and then I went over here to my project, I have a folder that sits right here on the side that's called shed. I have a variety of other ones that you see here, and the reason for that is a single Revit drawing can include hundreds of files, and so it's very important, and I'm going to keep emphasizing this over and over again, to have really good file management, because if you had all those files spread all across your computer, not only do you have a hard time finding them, but the Revit program itself, which has to access all of those separate little files, has a hard time finding them, and you will run into problems with your project. So in my shed folder, I have created a shed template, and I'm just going to go ahead and open that. Again, shed template in my shed folder, very easy to find, and I'm going to say open, and then I'm going to say okay. And whenever you open Revit, it looks like this. So there is on this white page over here, there's 4 exterior building elevations. And so you always want to be creating your building inside of these 4 exterior elevations. If it's too small, like these are too close together, in order to fit your building in there, you need to move them apart so that you're able to see inside of that building. And what that does is it allows you to interface with the project a little bit more easily. Over on the left here, you can see I have a variety of things. I have some structural plans, floor plan, ceiling plans, which we won't be using, 3D views, and then there's our exterior elevations that you see over there on the left. And all of these different components are all things that I set up with the template, and so I'll be showing you those separately. So within this project, the first thing that you always set up whenever you open the project is your elevation views. So when I'm looking over here on the side, oh, and I still have my roof in here. I'm just going to get rid of that. Over here on my levels, I have set up my different levels. So I have my foundation, which is at -1 foot 9 inches. I have my floor, which is at 0, and then I have my roof bearing height at 8 feet. So after I've looked at my exterior elevation, and I'm able to make modifications to these, of course, if I had a 20-story building, I would have 20 levels over here, including then more than that, because I would have my roof, and I would have any foundation that was underneath the building. So I'm just going to go back to my site plan, and I'm going to go back to that over here under my project browser, and I want to be able to put in some lawn to be able to put my shed on, so that I'm working with a little piece of site there, and maybe put some trees as well. So I'm going to start by doing that under the Massing and Site tab, and I'm going to select Topo Surface, and I'm just going to create 4 points to be able to put that shed on. And I'm not worried about it being square. Again, this, if I had an actual site plan, then I would put those actual dimensions in here. And I'm also able to select each of these points and adjust their elevation. So if this site was not completely level, which none ever is, you would be able to adjust those, add additional lines, and that would allow you to make some modifications to what that site looked like in elevation. I'm then going to select my topo surface that I've created, my lawn, and I'm going to change the material. Now up here on the top, this is the properties box, and this properties box is always going to display a variety of properties for whatever it is that you have selected. And in this case right now it's on topography, and you can see that it's on topography. Anytime I need to make any kind of modification to something on the floor plan, more than likely I'm going to do that with my properties box. So I'm going to select it, and I'm just going to change the material. Right now it says by category, and I'm going to change it to grass. And I have that here, so I'm just going to type that in and say done and okay. And now I have some lawn. If I look at that in a realistic colorway, you can see there, ooh, looks like grass. Okay. So then I'm going to go back to my floor plan, and I'm going to create my site. And now that I've created my site, I'm going to create my floor plan for my project. And in order to do that, I'm going to go back to architecture, and I'm going to select wall and wall architectural. Now I've already created a wall type that's an exterior wall. It has 3.5-inch studs in it, and it has plywood sheathing on both sides, both the interior and the exterior. Because this is a tool shed, it wouldn't have, some kind of more interesting finish on the inside. And then I've put some metal siding on the outside of that. So I've already created that wall type. So I'm just going to, I have this unfinished face exterior, and I'm just going to create my little shed here. And our shed is 8 feet by 12 feet, I believe. Yeah, 12 feet. Okay, so there's my walls of my shed. I'm just going to move this. And I'm just going to go back to my site plan, make sure that I put my shed on my lawn here. Okay. And it looks like I might need to make my topo surface just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do that. Okay. And then I could place some components like trees or shrubs. Some red maple tree out here in the corner. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my floor plan and make some modifications. So my walls here on my shed project, as you can see, do not start on the ground. They're up off of the ground. And so I'm going to set a base offset on that of 10.25 inches because it's up off of the ground. It starts at the base and it goes up to the roof. That's the current height of that. And then now that I have 4 walls here, I'm going to create a floor inside of my building, and I'm going to have wood joist with wood decking material on it. And so I'm just going to select my 4 walls, and I'm going to put that in there. And it wants to know if I would like to attach the floor to the walls, and I always say yes on that. And then I want to be able to put some decking off of the front here so that I can create that landing where you come into my storage shed. And so I'm going to go back to architecture, and I'm going to select floor and floor architectural, and I'm going to just create my landing out here. And this was 4 feet wide. Okay, and again I'm going to say check and yes. Okay. Okay, so now we have a floor and we have walls. There's several other items that we need to include. The foundation posts, as well as some of the posts that are holding up the roof and the roof itself, and the stairs. So I'm going to first do the posts that are holding up, or columns that are holding up our roof pieces out front. And I'm going to place a column here. In this case is a wood column. And I'm just going to edit the size of that. And put those out on our project. Okay, so then I'm going to also put in the foundation pieces, and I'm going to put those on the grade plan. Okay, so I'm going to add a beam between these two posts. So under structure, I'm going to select beam, and I have a 4x4 timber here, the same as my structural posts, and I'm just going to put those in. And it's going to give me a warning that I can't see them on this particular view. Again, what that means is it's above the cut, and so I can't actually see them here. And so it's just giving you that kind of warning, because what often happens is if you don't see it, you think, oh, well, that didn't work, and it's not actually here. But if I look at my 3D view here, you can see that I have my beam connecting those two posts out in front. Okay, so then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my foundation pieces, and I'm going to do that under architecture and then component.